it's nice to get them to try and answer the question. And in order to do that, we try to ask them pointed questions. I want to contrast our questions with some questions you asked John Kerry.
If you want to compare your show to a comedy show, you're more than welcome to.
Here's the point.
If that's your goal,
no, it's not.
I would name for us. I'd aim for
Here's
Seinfeld.
the problem.
That's a very good show.
Kerry won't come on this show. He will come on your show. Let me suggest why he wants to.
Well, we have civilized discourse.
Well, here's an example of civilized discourse. Here are three of the questions you asked, John.
Yeah.
You have a chance to interview the Democratic nominee. You ask him questions such as, quote, how are you holding up? Is it hard not to take the attacks personally?
Yeah.
Have you ever flip-flopped, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
Didn't you feel like you got the chance to interview the guy? Why not ask him a real question instead of just suck up to him?
Yeah, how are you holding up is a real suck-up. And I actually was giving him a hot stone massage as we were doing it. You know, it's interesting to hear you talk about my responsibility to the, I didn't realize that, and maybe this explains quite a bit.
No, the opportunity
is that the news organizations look to Comedy Central for their cues on integrity. So what I would suggest is when you talk about you're holding politicians' feet to the fire, I think that's disingenuous. I think
How are you holding up? I mean, come on.
No. I don't. But my role isn't. I don't.
You can ask him a real question, don't you think? Instead of saying,
I don't think I have to. By the way, I also asked him, were you in Cambodia? But I didn't really care because I don't care because I think it's stupid. Well, but my point is this: if your idea of confronting me is that I don't ask hard-hitting enough news questions, we're in bad shape, fellas.
We're here to love you, not confront you.
No. But what I'm saying is this. I'm not. I'm here to confront you because we need help from the media, and they're hurting us. And it's the idea is.
If the indictment, let me get this straight. If the indictment is, and I have seen you say this, that Crossfire reduces everything, as I said in the intro, to right.
Yes.
Well, it's because, we're a debate show. It's like saying
no, that'd be great.
To a store.
I would love to be a debate show.
A 24-hour day where we have each side on as best
No. That would be great.
And have them fight it out.
To do a debate would be great, but that's like saying pro wrestling is a show about athletic competition.
I think you're a good comedian. I think your lectures are boring. Let me ask you a question on the news.
Now, this is theater. I mean, it's obvious. How old are you?
35.
And you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, I do.
I know. And listen,
that was a bow tie, everybody.
That you're not a smart guy because those are not easy to tie. But the thing is that you're doing theater when you should be doing, which would be great.
No, it's not
honest. Theater, everybody.
It's not honest. What you do is partisan hackery, and I'll tell you
why
I know.
Kerry on your show, and you sniff his throne, and you're accusing us of partisan hackery?
Absolutely.
You've got to be kidding me.
You're on CNN. The show that leads into me is puppets making crank phone calls. What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying, there's no reason for you, when you have this marvelous opportunity not to be the guy's butt boy, to go ahead and be his butt boy.
Yes,
It's embarrassing.
I was absolutely his butt boy. I was so far. You would not believe what he ate 2 weeks ago. The interesting thing that I have is you have a responsibility to the public discourse, and you fail miserably.
I think.
You need to go to one. The thing that I want to say is, when you have people on for just knee-jerk, reactionary talk.
Well, I thought you were going to be funny. Come on. Be funny.
No, I'm not going to be your monkey.
Go ahead.
Not going to be the monkey.
Every day, and it kills me.
I can tell you a lot.
It's so painful to watch. Because we need what you do. This is such a great opportunity you have here to actually get politicians off of their marketing and strategy. Yeah, it's someone who watches your show and cannot take it anymore. I just can't.
I'd like to have dinner with you. It must be excruciating. Do you lecture people like this? And you come over to their house and sit and lecture them and they're not doing the right thing, they're missing their opportunities,
taking it
their
personal.
responsibilities?
If I think they are.
Ugh. I wouldn't want to eat with you, man. That's horrible.
I know, and you won't. But the thing I want to get
yeah, we did. Let's get to those.
Why can't we just please? I beg of you guys.
I think you watch too much Crossfire. We're going to take a quick break.
No.
Listen, hold on. We've got commercials.
Please.
Next, John
stop.
In the rapid fire.
Please.
Hopefully he'll be here. We hope. We think. And then, did U.S. soldiers refuse an order in Iraq? Will Spitzer has the latest on this investigation right after the break.
This is phenomenal, folks.
can't believe that's what's going on. Here, hold on, I got a glitch with my phone there. Alright, so just amazing, folks. Jon Stewart calls out these guys on Crossfire, just straight up says, please stop, we need you, we need this show, and it's not real. And just tries to explain to them how unreal it is. The guy wears a bow tie. It's all a facade. Obviously, he showed up one day and went, oh, bow tie, and everybody's like, you should wear that, and that's what happened. And it was all about getting people to pay attention, getting people to watch, getting the ratings up. And that's what he's talking about. It's not real media. They don't come out with real opinions. These people get on and they're already vetted, they're already trained, they're already bred to argue certain topics, to argue and push certain agendas, and not talk about the real thing. Why don't we have people on these shows talking about deforestation and actually making it a segment? Why doesn't CNN make a segment about deforestation? Why does these news media make a segment about the prohibition of marijuana and how it is killing society and not helping it? Why don't these mainstream news outlets actually do something instead of sitting around and acting like we're going to blame everybody else, we're going to create this tension, we're going to create this show, and everybody's just going to be fine with it? Well, guess what? Americans aren't fine with it anymore. And it's not just Americans. It's going across the whole world. People are not fine with how we're being treated as an entirety. You know, it's amazing. And Jon Stewart, I think, is one of these people. Yes, he has money, but he does sit there every day and try to give news to people. And even though he said it, to compare CNN to his show is ridiculous because CNN is an entire network. And that's really what you're looking at. You're not looking at just Jon Stewart talking about Crossfire. Jon Stewart is really talking about the entirety of CNN. There's actually an interview. We don't have it on here, but it's Jon Stewart with Larry King. And Jon Stewart straight up says he's glad Larry King's leaving, and he wishes Larry King would come work for him. And this is what he said again to the Crossfire guys. Come work for us. And he's talking about the people. And that's what Jon Stewart believes in. That is his ideology. Something he talks about in that interview with in that debate with Bill O'Reilly. Oh, I apologize. It's in an interview with Chris something. I can't remember his name. I might have it on tonight. I'm not sure. But we're going to move forward. This is going to be a CNN reporter who's talking about Jon Stewart. And this is just some of the criticism that you hear attacking him. Now, this is the man, Jon Stewart, who's getting this media. He's actually one of the top listened to media outlets for the newer generations. And a lot of people all the viewers who listen to a show, not all, but majority of the percentage of viewers who listen to a show are more informed than Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. So that just goes to show you that, you know, when Jon Stewart, even though he's joking about some of these stuff and he puts in this facetious facade of, you know, this comedy, he's not as bad as Colbert. Colbert is something that Jon Stewart unleashed upon the world. If you haven't seen him, it's all an act, guys. He's literally putting on a huge facetious facade of nothingness and just acting like a brute. Bill O'Reilly, there's actually some stuff about Bill O'Reilly getting pissed at Stephen Colbert because that's who Stephen Colbert bases everything off of, Papa Bear O'Reilly. So anyways, moving on, we're going to get this next audio clip here out for you.
Shortage is a grim warning about U.S. vulnerability to bioterrorism. Although it's called spam supportments, clear. Will it be harder for you to mock? Just can't. I'd like to have dinner with you. It must be excruciating.
Worry about it in that respect.
Some questions from our audience. Yes.
Watch yourself on his show every day, and all they ever do is call you stupid.
There we go. Hold on one second, folks. I had a problem loading audio today, so I'm going off of just a player.
It is to it. Everybody else who's not like him, look at his show. I mean, what? Something like that. Great.
This is a guy who he's a CNN reporter who actually supposedly got fired for this, but he ragged on Jon Stewart, calls him a bigot, and basically starts to say some really anti-Jewish things. I'm not going to say Semite, but anti-Jewish things. I guess it is anti-Semites, not anti-Zionist. I'm an anti-Zionist. Here we go, folks.
It's happening now, an extraordinary.
It's coming up. Don't you worry. I know I got you holding here tonight, folks. But it's worth it. These are some fun audio clips. You got just to really show you.
I think Jon Stewart's a bigot. I think he looks.
There you go.
Hold on. Now we're going to get into it. Jon Stewart, my old boss, my friend.
Yeah, I think he's a bigot.
How is he a bigot?
I think he looks at the world through his mom, who was a school teacher, and his dad, who was a physicist or something like that. Great. I'm so happy that he grew up in a suburban, middle-class New Jersey home with everything that you could ever imagine.
What group is he bigoted towards?
Everybody else who's not like him. Look at his show. I mean, what does he surround himself with?
But listen, he picks on Jews all the time. He's a Jew.
Yeah.
He focuses on them. I think he overcompensates to some extent. I always notice that.
Yeah.
He goes after himself.
Well, by the way,
and people like him and everybody else. I distragree with you, and I defy you to give me a specific example.
Let me give you an example of what I mean about that. By the way, I don't necessarily think
pretty strong words calling Jon Stewart a bigot. Calling anybody a bigot. Give me an example.
That's what happens when you watch yourself on his show every day, and all they ever do is call you stupid. You see,
if he's bigoted against the ignorant, fine. If he's bigoted against the apathetic and he's being elitist saying that others are stupid, but what group specifically? Call someone a bigot against who?
Anybody who's different than you are. Anybody who's not from your frame of reference. Anybody who doesn't look and sound exactly like the people that you sound and grew up with. The people that you put on your show who always reflect somebody who's I'm bringing in to sit around me, who's very different from me. I mean, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy this thing that the only people out there who are prejudiced, all right? The only people out there who are prejudiced are the right. There's people who are prejudiced on both sides.
But you're not giving me a specific example. You're saying he's bigoted towards people who aren't like him. His guests come from he has the most right wing.
I think.
Don't you point your Sharpie at me, Sanchez. Don't you take your Sharpie out.
I think John's show is essentially prejudicial.
You're telling me that
I'm telling you that everybody who runs CNN is a lot like Stewart. And a lot of people who run all the other networks are a lot like Stewart. And to imply that somehow the people in this country who are Jewish, are an oppressed minority? Yeah.
They have a history of oppression, no?
No question about that.
They can't relate to that?
I grew up in Miami. Every one of my best friends was Jewish. What are you talking about?
That is just bizarre, folks. I just think it's amazing how there's so many negative people on this mainstream media, and all they're trying to do is attack. Jon Stewart, the one thing I really like is he uses facts, and this is something that you'll hear in some of the next stuff coming up. Let's see, the next video coming up is going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be about Jon Stewart showing some things about not mentioning Ron Paul. And just like that, he's pointing out what the media is not doing. After that, there's a clip about Jon Stewart going to be having this whole thing go on where Hannity and some other guys, like the Fox 5, they basically go on to say, hey, you're using things out of term, you're misquoting us. And they even play a video clip of what Jon Stewart played and then said afterwards, and it's not even what the guy says the second time around. So you'll hear that later. But here we go. This is going to be another one. Jon Stewart showing how this is back on a past election, how Ron Paul, who got a certain number of votes in the straw poll, got completely looked over during the mainstream media report. I'll pull that up for you here, folks, in just a second. But again, if you're just tuning in, this is, we're talking, segment is The Other Side here on Thrice's Daily Download, freedomizerradio.com. Talking about Jon Stewart and Russell Brand. Right now we're covering Jon Stewart and how he is causing a big bump against the media, especially releasing somebody like Colbert upon the nation. Colbert Nation, guys. If you're not familiar with some of the things he's doing, you should check it out. He launched a whole thing against super PACs, if you haven't heard. That's pretty cool if you look into that and what he did to try to bring awareness to super PACs and how ridiculous they really are. Super PACs are basically where you can get an unlimited amount of donations from certain donors, which makes it so politicians. Here you go, folks.
Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul dominating the Ames straw poll. We got ourselves a race.
We have a top tier. It is Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann.
We have a new top tier, and it's Perry, Mitt Romney, and Bachmann.
There's now a top tier in
in this race, at least for now, of Romney, Perry, and Biden.